Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome to the Discernment Show, where Jesus is the star. I gotta think of a better word than star, right? What's better than star? King of the world. Yes, yes, yes. Alright, let me go ahead and turn this off here. This music is crazy. Alright. Man, I'm excited today, man, for all three people that are here. We got Jake backstage. I'm excited about that. A lot of things are happening. I think it's a good time to be serious, you know? It's a good time to be serious. It's also a good time to have a good time, right? But, reality, right? What's reality? Is that we got to be ready, right? We got to be ready for what's real. And there's just too many distractions, too many things to lose your mind over, right? And we got to stay in the spirit. Like, we got to start asking ourselves, am I acting in the Holy Spirit? Like, is this the spirit of Jesus? Is this how Jesus would act? In every possible scenario, right or wrong, good or bad, we need to ask ourselves, is this how Jesus acts? And if it's not, then, there's room for improvement. And I don't say that from a place of authority. I say that from a place of love, right? That's what we all should want, is to emulate that, and to be loved for that. I only want to be known for that, for how much I love God. I don't want to be known for anything else. And so, anyway, rambling here, but let me go ahead and bring Jake on. Hello, Jake. How are you doing? Welcome to the show.
Hello. Good to see you, brother. I am doing good by God's grace. How are you?
My brother, man. Hey,
Brother.
tomorrow. So you're on tomorrow morning too, right?
Yes, as far as I know.
See,
Lord
that's
willing.
great. Yeah, that makes me feel even more happy.
We get our double whammy back to back. Yeah,
I
I
know it,
know.
man. Hey,
Oh, it's
these shows
awesome.
come fast, man. They start rolling, and you're like, man, is it time for
Right?
the next show already?
I know it does. It just is like you close your eyes and you open them. You're like, oh, yep, here we are. All right. It's like what already? This is that's pretty cool though, and I think I
It's
love starting the
crazy,
day that
man.
way. It's like church on the way to work. That's really what it feels like, and just starting the day with like the Lord on your mind, or just doing something for Him is just there's really no better way, And I think that's how we should always start our day, or just reflecting on Him, or praying to Him, or something, and not just
Yeah.
wake up and be like, all right, I gotta do this, gotta do that, start going on our own track or whatever.
It seems like every hour, I'm joining creation in a collective groan. You know what I mean? God, come back.
Oh,
Please
I'm
come
sorry. It might have been me, but you wrote about it a little bit. Every hour, it seems like you're joining what?
It says it seems like I'm joining creation every hour in a collective groan.
Oh, yes, right. I know, like the earth is just
Yeah,
like moaning and groaning. I know. I think we
yeah,
can all like feel that internally, right? Like that. Oh my gosh, yes, the Messiah come quickly. Like our hearts
right.
groaning and moaning. Just that, and like how the creation just yearns for that. For the transformation of the children and the redemption, and just oh man, I know. And I think the more we
Well, I
see that
mean,
day approaching, the more we're just like, oh my gosh, that eagerness is just is rising higher and higher. As
it
we see that
is.
day approaching.
It is, and then also like it's even more noticeable, in good and bad, right? It's more and more noticeable, like who's acting in the spirit and not acting in the spirit, right? And you're like, well, okay, we got a lot of work to do, right? And it's not. It's like you have this idea of how how good things are, right? Or how prepared we all are. And then there's reality hits, right? And you're like, wow,
Yes.
it might not be really a bad thing, but there's work to do, and it's scary because you feel like you're racing against the clock, right?
Right? I know it's so true. I think there's like a verse in it's the same chapter in Psalms 90 that says like a generation is from 70 to 80 years, that says like teach me to count the number of my days. Like in other words, like that we like each day is like value to us, and we just don't take it for granted and just think long term, oh, I'll do this in 5 years or whatever. It's like, whoa, okay, no, like there is that urgency, and like every
Hello? Oh, I gotta drop out and come back.
I'll take a. I can kind of glimpse at the chat here. I'm driving, so I'm like, but I see in the corner of my Shulamite, Luke, oh, good to see you guys, Shannon. All right, Steven's gone, guys. I can do this. Hello, hello, hello.
Yeah,
Welcome to the show.
yeah, yeah, I'm back. Well,
Awesome,
Well,
awesome.
no,
Oh, good to see
it's like
everybody.
yes, you're right. It's like every time and I see this go. So I see this a lot, right? People will say, we don't know the day or the hour, so it's all good. I'm like, well, why don't you read the rest of that verse? Like keep watch
Oh,
because we don't know the day or the hour. How about how about
well,
it? Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, we don't know the day or the hour. It's all good.
yes, I
Don't
know, right?
worry.
Like, yeah, yeah, I think it's like where it's taken out of context too is like, right, like we need to, okay, like what is it? Like Jesus obviously told us to watch, and so like there's a reason he commanded that for us. But First Thessalonians 5 is huge because it says in there that we're children of the day, and that if we're watching, it will not catch us as a thief. Meaning that we can watch and we can know the season, that it will not catch us off guard. Which means obviously like there are things to watch for, and that we can know. He's not just saying, "Yep, just watch," and who knows if it's going to happen or not. You'll never know. You'll just Russian
Right.
roulette or whatever the case. You're just going to have to guess. I don't know. Or, but I think
Anything
it's so.
goes, man. Do what you want,
I, I think that's why he tells us to watch, because like how he always likens it to like the days of Noah. They were eating and drinking, given into marriage. Like there's going to be
Yeah.
normalcy going on. Like Noah knew, of course, but they didn't know until the flood came. And I think like for us as believers, like most like in the world aren't looking for these things, or aren't looking for the signs in the heavens, or the morality, the spiritual aspect of things happening. They just we see big blockbuster titles coming out. Sports, the football games are still going, so we're good to go. Or
Right.
whatever the case. And so I definitely think like
Exactly.
there's going to be like normalcy is going to be like existent. I think, which is why like Jesus said, you got to watch. It's going to be like the days of Noah. People are eating, they're drinking, they're giving into marriage. Like buying all this stuff. Like
I can
so like
see
all that's going to be
I
going
could
on.
see Amazon packages being delivered, and people going to weddings, right? And
Hmm.
and
Probably
it's about
drones.
we gotta be ready, right? Like and there's there's so much of that, right? Be ready,
Yes. Right.
and get oil for your lamps, right? Like
Oh,
this
yes.
is the time. Like if we're still reacting to, because like we're gonna get people here that are gonna be difficult, that are gonna be new, fresh, green, right? Not you know uh not saved, right? And we're gonna
Yeah.
have to react to them in a way that's sensitive, right? Like if they come at us, hardcore, and it's their fault, then so be it, right? But 70 times 70, or 70 times 7, and radical forgiveness and love, right? And
Yeah.
we got to be above that, right? Not because that it's fair, right? But because we are able to. And so
Yes.
like I want that to be our spirit, right? And I want the stronger people to be that way, and that's what I'm really looking forward to, hoping that we can all get there, and
No, that's really good. And I think there's definitely like a lot of like wisdom to that, right? And something we should all be like striving for. And like in the parable of the sower, when Jesus is saying like the seeds that that weren't sown on good soil, like on stony ground that, when tribulation came up, like it sprouted for a season, but then it burned, it didn't last because they were offended. When you think about that, like if we're standing on the rock, like that is like we remember like they hated him before they hated us. And so we don't take offense because we are just a vessel to be able to operate in his truth, not our truth. And when you
Right.
like really recognize that, put that in perspective, like, okay, I'm just a vessel here by the living God to be able to by his grace, carry his truth with an honor and respect. And so as we kind of recognize that, we're like, okay, and so who am I to take offense or take something personal or want to get
Oh, that's
argumentative
beautiful.
or not forgive, you know?
Yeah.
And there's something, and there's like Jesus said in at Matthew 25, like what you did unto the least of these, you did unto me, like that you didn't give them food or drink or whatever the case, it's Christ in you, and so when we really recognize that,
So true, man. That's like
you're
music to my ears, man. Let me bring
right.
Stephanie on. She's backstage. Hello,
Yay!
Stephanie. Welcome, welcome to the show. How are you doing today? It's like,
Hello, hello, hello. Hi, Stephanie.
Hi, Jake. Hi, Jake.
Hi, Stephanie. Long time no talk. Oh,
So what I
good to see
missed?
you.
Sorry. Yeah. Yeah,
no,
you
so we're
too.
just talking about like, we're like there's gonna be people that are gonna come in and out of here, right? Or people that we even already have here, right? That are gonna be rough, maybe, and maybe a little green, maybe not saved, right? And we're gonna have to, regardless of how they act towards us, right? We're going to have to show love and radical forgiveness and rise above it, not because it's fair, right, but because we can, right, because we have the ability to do that. And like Jake was saying, like this is God's world, we're a vessel here, like it, like he's like God's the center, right? What does God want? He wants both, everyone to make it, right? And
Yes,
Right.
it's time to start showing that we are in the spirit, right? Behaving in that way, you know, and
right.
and so I think that that's something that you know,
Like, he's actually really big on that because even we just have to forgive of whatever. Because I mean, Matthew 18, I mean, he literally calls it evil and wicked servant, you know, and with what was it? Because their heart and their intentions, because they didn't want to forgive their debt, you know, and for when they were forgiven, and that's the exact same thing, they want to be like so people that don't forgive, it's like they want to be recipients of mercy, but they don't want to become merciful, you know,
right,
and that kind of just misses the whole point, and it's just like a self-centered deception,
right, and it's like we don't want to respond in our pride or in what we think is fair or what we think is right because
Yeah,
really we're not the center of our world anymore, right? And
You
no
think
matter
part of
what,
it can be,
yeah,
like, because when you think about it that way, like how merciful he is. So, and like, I mean, where he forgives everything. So that alone just makes us want to be merciful to others, right? For these like minor things. But so do you think part of it can be that, like, if somebody isn't forgiving, they don't really realize that they truly are forgiven, Like maybe, like, it could be not even just selfishness, but maybe not even understanding just what that really means, that everything, like, God does not see their sins, they are completely forgiven, you know?
right. And for we should be able to forgive anybody, in our at least in our immediate life, right? For the small amount of transgressions that they may even, have against us, right or
Right.
wrong. And we're running out of time. We're running out of time for us to be prideful and to be, to have any kind of ego.
mm,
I think.
that's so true. And I really feel like, obviously with the I mean the attack from so many different angles, but like on the family unit, just like how much division there is, like in people and families, like relationships, just how like much that actually, the enemy wants you to be like in bondage of that, like holding these things against others. Like Satan is the accuser of the brethren. And so like whatever he can do to get your heart to wax cold, just like Jesus said, the hearts of many are going to wax cold, like to get you to hold these things against people. Like you're hurting yourself doing that as well, and you're really in bondage. And uh, there is like such a freedom, when we stand in Christ and we love Him with that godly love. That's not like of the flesh, but that comes from Him, where we can just let go of that, because we know that we were forgiven, and that we have salvation through him. And when we accept that grace and mercy, there's just something so like humbling about that. And we realize, who am I to hold something against somebody else? Or the way I always think about it, like, who would I be to want to go into heaven, or want to be standing there at the door, but then tell God, no, this person can't go in, but let me in, or something like, or like, could you even imagine that? Like, to not forgive
Right.
somebody, but then want to be
I know.
forgiven, or expect
There's so
to,
many various ways, right? There's like various ways to flip that. And I was actually weirded out because when you were just saying that, like, how we're a vessel, like it's truly that, because I was like, that's what Steve and I were like texting about earlier. And like how you said it was so closely to how I worded it that I was thinking for a second that it was you and I texting, but it wasn't. So that's so funny. But
That's
like
the same
it
spirit,
just,
right?
right. I know, right?
Yes,
Like it was really
yes,
eerie. I was like, wow, because so like, because we can hear these things and know these things. Like, okay, yes, I know I'm a vessel. But when we really, really think about that, like understand, like that is all we are. Like that's the whole purpose of our body. Like is to contain His Spirit, so that He can live through us and us
yes,
work out through our body. And when you understand that, and like, I mean, and He made us, like He knows exactly who we are. And I mean, you just hear that thing about potter and clay, painter and the paint the what would it be, the art, the painter, I don't know. And like, so I've heard that so many times that it lost meaning. So when I really, really thought about it yesterday, something like, I don't know, it clicked in such a deep way that I was like, wow, like every single part of me, like, I mean, he knows. Like, so to ever think, it's crazy to ever like think about questioning him, you know? Like every part of me he made, every single part, the way, even up to the way I talked, to superficial things. And it just it blows my mind that we actually will even sometimes like will blame God for things. And when the truth is clearly written in the Bible, and He's telling us like, this is who you are to me. And if we just believe that truth instead of believing all these lies, then we would be walking in that.
Right. Exactly. And back to what like Jake was saying, right? Like to have somebody like, barely missed, right? Like, what if there was an incident, right? And someone came at me sideways, and I couldn't hold it, I couldn't rise above it, and so my reaction, right, cost them their entry, right? I mean, how would we feel if it really did come down to that? If it really did
yeah,
come down to one action,
Well,
right?
I really don't. It's okay. I don't think that we have that capability. We don't have that
Well,
power.
sure,
Like
sure, of
we're
course, yeah,
right. I get what you're saying. We're either gods or we're
right,
not. But I do believe that we could actually cause damage. And I mean, we're here to serve Him. So I mean, I think
right,
I mean, woe to those who stumble people. We don't want to do that. That's the whole thing about about the meat and everything that was George. Sorry, he's eating my picnic table. I'm getting so sidetracked. George, don't eat that.
you know,
Stop that. At first, I was like,
I
oh, he'll stop. It's going to hurt him, but he didn't stop. Anyways, but the meat sacrificed to idols. So it wasn't necessarily because, anything go in our body, it's not going to harm us. But the point is it was causing, like, for instance, the Jews that were held to such strict laws, they were combining with the new church that were, they didn't have any of those laws. So it was
right,
causing them to stumble because they felt that it was their conscience was telling them not to. So that's why they even passed that rule. They're like, okay, then that so when they had like joint meals and everything, everybody just knew that they could eat together and that nothing was sacrificed to idols, and nobody, nobody was causing anybody to stumble, and nobody was thinking that somebody else was, sinning, because the thing is all of that stuff doesn't matter. Like what matters beyond, eating meat is people's spiritual maturity. And that's what Paul was saying. Like,
right.
nothing is more important than spiritual maturity. So let's just
and,
take out
and
the meat
being
part and move on.
and being considerate of their perspective and their feelings.
Yeah,
So,
putting them always
yes,
put their spiritual
esteem
maturity
them
always,
above
yeah,
yourselves,
before
right?
before our wants, before anything. Like we should
yeah,
always be doing that. So if like anything we say, if it's going to cause them to stumble, or so again, I don't think
Right.
we don't have that power, right? But I mean, I only want to please Him. That's he
so
gave us everything. So I know none of us want to like we don't want to be someone He can't work through. So that alone is like punishment, knowing like, okay, He knows He can't use us. That's just heartbreaking. And I don't ever want to be in that position. But
right.
um I don't sorry, I've got to just walk out from out back. I'm like getting so sidetracked by him. Okay,
Yeah,
but
I
sorry, you
don't
guys keep going and I'll get back on track.
I wouldn't want to be like I wouldn't want to be that person or that part of the body that God can't use.
There
Like
you go. That's
oh,
where we
so,
are. Okay, right. Right.
That's just
Like
so,
we
so
want to be able to be
heartbreaking.
used. We want them to like that's the purpose of everything, you know?
You don't want to be
It's
like the
just
one that buried the talent and didn't use it, or
Right,
like when he comes back and you're like, I just took what I had, but then just took it and hit it and didn't do anything or something. And
right.
it's like, oh gosh,
Like I was afraid I was
right.
gonna lose it. These people were coming at me sideways, and they were wrong, so it was on them. I buried
it
my
really
talent. I buried
like
my
really
talent.
what really does like
Right.
I was telling Stephen this earlier, but like I'm very serious, like because and it's amazing that we can do this because with Jesus, like it doesn't, it just shows us how well we really know Jesus, like how well he's just in our hearts, where we know his character. Like we truly know, well, that sounds so silly. Jesus wouldn't do that. When I mean, there's not a lot
Oh
of details on the things Jesus wouldn't
yes.
do in the Bible. But it'd be like, so like you can like that's just really like how the Holy Spirit was like showing me like, to check ourselves, like the best because we have to be honest with ourselves. And because we can really we want to serve God, so we serve people. But we always have to make sure it's coming from a place of where we are serving God. We are not doing it for thanks. We're not doing it. We're doing it out of love, pure love. So if they don't say thank you, or they don't just let us know just how amazing we are, like that is not what we're doing it for.
Yeah,
You
big
know.
deal.
And so when we do something like that, if we have to check because and we always know it doesn't matter how much we did. Like it just doesn't. Like we could have like moved them across country and da 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 da, and they didn't say one thank you because like okay, so then think
Yes.
about Jesus, like looking at Peter and being like, man, did you see that in the Capernaum? They just were chasing me down. They didn't even care about, repenting. They just wanted food from me. Like, can you
Right.
imagine that? Like, he would never
No.
say that. It's like,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous, right?
Right.
Like,
I
Yeah.
mean, come on,
and
I gave
so
them 5,000 loaves of bread and they're complaining. What's going on here, man? You
right,
know?
exactly. So it's like a silly argument, right? But the truth
Yeah.
is, but that just makes it like it sounds ridiculous only because it's Jesus. Like, so if it's not going to come out of his mouth,
Yes.
like, and
So
it's like I
true.
said, it's not, it's that's even beyond it coming out of our mouths. Like,
But then we don't have the
that
same
lets us
standard with
know.
ourselves,
Yes,
Like, who
exactly.
are
It
we
makes
that,
us be able to
right?
check ourselves by checking us through Jesus. So, like, if our heart
Right.
gets little, like we did a lot for someone, and we start to feel that even a little bit or something, we have like that's where I go. I'm like, okay, is this? And by the way, it's always going to be no, you shouldn't feel that because when we're doing it for God, we don't, none of that matters. Like, we do not
Right.
need them to say thank you. We don't need them to be gracious or, you know what I mean? Because that's
Right,
not what
because
we're doing it for.
the increase belongs to God anyway.
Right.
Like what we like. It's just like the parable of the talents, right? Whatever we earn, right, is going to be for God anyway, right? And it's His glory, right? It's not ours, right? We either get trusted with a lot or a little, right? And that's going to be how we're going to measure, I
I'll
don't
get
even
back on
know
roboting.
if even that's a good word for it. Oh, if we're roboting, Jake, just drop out and I'll bring you right back if it's doing that. I learned how to do this now, finally. Finally,
Yeah,
I
I heard
brought.
you. I think it was when you were talking to Oso one day. I heard you telling her like if you start on robotic, then hang up real fast to get back on.
Yeah,
The other
yeah.
person, yeah, yeah.
And it like, like I want to get it to where like the audience doesn't really realize it, like that it's even happening. But
Yeah, you're actually really smooth about it.
yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. There's Jake. Let me bring
And
him
that's a good
back.
compliment.
Hey, Jake, how
I'm
you
like, oh no,
doing?
but you always come back so quickly that I'm like,
Okay,
okay.
sorry. Yeah,
Right.
it started. It was robot. I think it was me. So I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna drop in and out. And so yeah, sorry. I think I should
I have
go
it down to a
now.
science now. Like if you're the one that hears the roboting right away, drop out and come back, and then it's like you'll just smoothly go back into the conversation, and I'll get you. I'll know what's
Nice.
happening. Yeah,
Okay, well,
and then we'll all be juggling
okay, I
around,
figured
right?
you would. Yeah, I knew
We'll all switch places. But yeah, no,
Mm-hmm.
but like
I know.
like
We'll be doing the
I
musical
measure.
chairs here.
Well, like I try to measure like my relationship and my and that maybe that's not even a good way to say it, but like with how much God wants to use me, right? Like that, like I want to be used as much as possible. I want to be trusted, right? And that doesn't have to come with rewards, like it's its own reward, in my
Right.
opinion, right?
That's the beauty though of being in the Holy Spirit because we are being used the entire time, but we don't know it. But we don't need to know it because that's not what we're doing it for. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
anywhere we go when we're walking with the Holy Spirit and just like by having that joy in these times, we
It
talked about
feels
that
like we're
before.
talking in riddles, but really it makes sense.
No, I mean it is so true. I mean, I wish I mean you there's so many times like people really do notice just especially now, like it's we talked about it many times, like just literally having joy and laughter and peace, you know, that is not normal right now. And we have that because we didn't get that from the world. So, you know, like none of this is happening. Didn't, you know, it's not going to take it away because it not happening is not why we had this to begin with. It was the
Right.
Lord that we got it from, right? So that is that we are walking testimonies and it is very powerful. So we just have to believe, well, yeah, he's using me. He didn't just pour his spirit in just for us. Like he did it for us to bring others to him, you know?
In reality, right? Like if we weren't helping others out of it, right? This peace and joy is almost like this, like the world isn't even happening. Like I'm outside of it, watching it like a movie. You know, it's really like the only time that I ever grieve at all is for other people.
Oh, I get what you're saying. Yeah,
You know
because
what I
well,
mean?
because we know the truth and we have, you know, the
Yeah,
only thing that
get out of
matters we
it.
have. Yeah, I get what you're saying. It's like we're
Yeah.
floating above it, you know. And I mean, a lot of things come at us, you know, but none of those things matter. And that's why it's just it really is amazing just whenever you start to realize things like, you know, through trials and tribulations, how, rejoice because we're being strengthened and magnified. And that is so true. Like everything, as long as, of course, the enemy of course would want us to stumble during those times and question, that's why we have to be really careful and just hold our thoughts captive because, we can really grow through those times, or we can also get tricked into believing these thoughts that aren't ours and be like, oh, why are you allowing this to happen to me? Because it's not about being here and being, pain free and just not needing anything. It's about being here, having joy no matter what. And with that, there's just this faith that everything's going to be okay. And it truly is. He always comes through, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just remarkable. It's so
so true. I think
remarkable.
like the longer we the longer we walk with him, like the more like faith and trust just increases in him, because our testimony is just continuously like growing, and we really realize it's like, yeah, we know when we first come to him, we believe that everything is purpose. We know that and believe that, but then like actually living it out and seeing it over and over, like, whoa, okay, it's like the painting becomes more clear, or like just more detail getting added in. And
No, it
it
is.
just continues to add to it in such an incredible way.
I
Um,
know. Think
and
about our walk. Like, like where we were, where I was probably a year ago, even, still with pain and stuff, how I'd get out of the spirit. Remember, there were times
right,
where, like, we wouldn't talk for a couple days, remember? And that was
yeah,
normal. But I mean, because, like,
right.
we were like, oh, not in the spirit,
Just
or
didn't
like,
have anything to
how
say, or
weird is
right. I know that is weird, right? I
Yeah,
know, like just because it was exactly that, kind of like in the fleshy moments, or just
yeah.
yeah, that's only like a
And
year
he was
ago. That's
he was
crazy,
building us. He was yeah, because I mean he just really put that on my heart because I forgot about that. I can't imagine that now because now say something happens and like we're not feeling him, which it doesn't matter. He's there no matter what we feel. But he's actually
right?
trained us now that's when we call each other the most. So I mean
Right.
even that is just such a victory. Like just
Yes.
so when you can look back and reflect on the walk, it's not even like oh my goodness, it's always amazing. Like really, there truly is always joy in the world. But I mean where we're at is always it's always us. He's always there waiting for us. So if we are in a place of like, oh, I'm just not feeling it today, that's not because he's not there waiting. It's not because he's not living inside of you. It's because something's going on. You're deceived somewhere where, it's something inside of us. And so once you know that and you're very secure about who he is, which he tells us clearly in the Bible, and then shows us time and time again throughout our lives, then when something feels off or, we know it's us. And that's why, like, right away, instead of like being like, I don't, because the last thing I want to do if I feel that way is actually my flesh is like, no, I do not want to talk to anybody. But because it's my flesh, I'm like, I do not care, flesh, and I call Jake. And it's almost
Amen.
immediate, seriously. Yeah,
Yes. Yes. And it's amazing how that works, like
it
every
really
single
is.
time, like when you step through it's like those moments, we've learned like where you step out in obedience despite what you feel, and through
Right.
that obedience and faith, he's always there on the other side and fills, because
It
like
really
you
is.
said, it's like we realize this when we need it the most, not when we kind of just shy away or whatever the case. I'm gonna wait till I got the joy in the spirit, then call you or something, it's like,
Yeah, and we
it's
really
just
did that. I forgot about even
right,
like I remember when I was like really sick. Remember like it was like when we moved into 2 years ago, or well, man, I don't know actually. Maybe it was a year ago. It was like October, not last October, the October before. But him and I didn't talk very much, and I didn't feel well. And that was something God really like even through that, like God makes everything bad, He turns it to good because I really was like I just I knew it was a deception. That's the worst part. Like, so if I like didn't feel well, I was in a lot of pain. I knew it wasn't okay to be how I was. Like, I knew it wasn't okay to just shut off and, not like, not pick up my Bible, not try to have fellowship. I knew that, but I couldn't get past it. Right. And so, that's where it's really weird because then you're just stuck in even knowing that it's wrong. But that wasn't that long ago, Jake. And like now, like because of all that happened, I'm able, like, he was able to remove that, to where no matter how I feel. So these things, like I never could have done that. Like that is all him. Like all glory to him. Like to
Right.
where I can
I
actually be
mean,
in like a severe amount of pain and still have joy because that's not where I just want it. So I just know that he will heal me. Two, I just have joy because I really, it's as simple as, oh my goodness, this is true. God is real. Like, I know that sounds weird, but when I just think, oh my goodness, like Jesus, like all of that, all these
unbelievable.
things we heard, like you say it as like the best case scenario. I say it like, wow, it's a dream come true. Like, how can this be real?
Right,
Like this,
right.
like
Yeah.
he sends his son and what his blood covers all of our sins. He forgives us. And then there's nothing we can do to earn it. We just have to believe and trust him. And the more we
Right.
believe in him and the more we have faith, he changes us, like supernaturally changes us. We don't even have to be like, oh, I shouldn't watch this. It's bad. He changes us. He makes it to where we love righteousness. Like, so,
Well,
we no
sometimes when
longer like the things we used to.
well,
Like, it's just
sometimes
too good to be true. Things
right,
that used to
right.
stress us out, we're like, oh, wait, I don't have to stress about this. Literally, I'm going to give this to Jesus. And he takes it. And then it's
Yeah,
done. You don't even have to worry about it because it's taken care of because of your faith.
you're right. That's
Like,
exactly my feeling is that it's too good to be true, right? When I think
right.
about it, when I try to think about it and label it in one sentence, right? I'm like, no way, that's not real. Like these last 5 years for me, I can't even imagine like what happened, you know? Like it's like a dream, right? And
Yeah.
every best thing that could happen is happening, and the only thing that gives me any grief at all, right, is wondering how to explain that to people that don't have it, you know?
Yeah.
And
And that's
I,
not him, too, because if you gave that to him, too, you wouldn't even have to
right,
worry about that,
right,
Yeah.
and I just want it for everybody. It's just so amazing and unbelievable, and I can't believe I'm in this group. Like I'm on the right side of it. Like what?
And it's
Like
like the oh, sorry, I didn't go
no,
finish
go
your thought
ahead,
there.
buddy. Go ahead, buddy.
Oh yeah, like when Jesus talked about all the parables of the kingdom of heaven, and it's like saying it's like the kingdom of heaven's like a treasure like hidden in a field, and when he found it, like he for joy
Yeah,
he goes and sells all that he has and buys
that's
that
right.
field, and you start to learn like when we recognize like as he's like raising us and we start to
I
really
want
like grow in
that
spirit, grow
pearl.
closer to him, we're like, oh my gosh. And but and like talking about that discernment like you're saying, and just like the closer you get to him, like which is all like by his grace, like through our trials and tribulations, as like him raising us, it's like your discernment starts to grow on such a deeper level, like because you can see it in others as well, right? Because we recognize it like in each other, like, oh my gosh, it's and but then also like as because you see, like we know that he's the truth, like he's the way, the truth, and the life, and it's like the deeper understanding we come to the truth, the more the lies and deception just stick out like a sore thumb naturally, as we're growing closer to him, where that discernment is also growing hand in hand with that, where you're just beginning to recognize and see things that you never did before, just the smallest, tiniest things, how that just continues to grow. And that's what also makes it so beautiful, like about the wheat and the tares. Like I was just talking about this with Oso last night, actually, but like evil's getting okay. Oh, you know what? She's here, so I'm going to say this. We said like tares are getting terrier, and wheat is getting weedier.
Right,
We were
right.
laughing at that, and we're like, and so, but anyways, but like as we go
You're
closer to
right.
him, or as the wheat is growing more, like we also like see it in each other, and that joy is starting to kind of emerge in a deeper way, and in a kind of a more like eternal way, I guess you could say, just something like that treasure hidden in the field, you're like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
and you just realize like there's nothing else. And we were talking earlier about like serving God and rewards. I think that like that is the gift, like that is knowing him and having that relationship with him, because we're going to be made one with him. Because all these like if we think about like the physical rewards, like what Jesus said, he's like, what is the food more than the body, or like the raiment more than the body, or clothes more than the body. It's like, no, this is so that we can do this. We don't elevate that above the Creator Himself. It's
Right.
the fact that we get to be with Him and have that relationship. Like that is the gift.
And all the bad, like all the bad you hear that, I mean, even the terrorists, like it's used to, to build us up stronger, to sanctify us. All of this is just to get us closer to Him. Like there's not anything that's just, there's no reason for it. Like, oh, that's just bad. Like He takes the
Right.
worst of the worst situations and He turns them into something so amazing for His glory every time,
Yes.
every
And I,
single
Yes.
time.
and I absolutely feel like that guy that found that big pearl in the field, man. I'm holding that pearl like, woo!
Right? Just that
You
one
know,
pearl. You
like,
aren't letting it go, right?
like
Everything
I'm
else
gonna
just sitting
buy
there.
this
Yes.
whole field, man.
Oh
And
man.
I just don't want to let it go. I don't, but I know, right, that I know where they come from, like I know the source of these pearls, right? And it's like
Well, that's what makes it so amazing, right? Because we know it's not us. Because if this was in our doing, we wouldn't even have that. We wouldn't be able to have faith that it would just be able to, we would have no hope, right? I can't hope in myself that I could keep this up or I could, like I know it's not me. I know it's Him. And that's what makes it so free. It's not going to go away tomorrow. It's, like this is it. This is
it's
us with Him in us.
unlimited.
And that's just, I screw up everything, I stink,
Me
but He
too.
doesn't. And it's not even in our hands. Like He has us,
Yeah.
and the more we give up
Yeah.
control, the more we just, I mean, it's the more free we are.
Right. And it's like that's He always gets the glory for His name's sake, right? That He gets
Right.
all the glory, does it for His name's sake, and we get to be a part of that.
That's why I think about, like, when in the back half of Matthew, right, where they were saying, Lord, Lord, what about all these good works that we've done in your name, right? And that's not us, right? We're not gonna go to Jesus and brag about good works, right? Like we know God, right?
Right.
All that glory belongs to Him, and we know that, right?
Yes.
Right.
And
Yes.
so if you don't know God, right, and you get caught in that scenario, man, then
Right.
man,
Yeah.
you're
I
close.
know. It'd
No
be like,
preventative.
I know. It'd be like, if you had a kid and you were going to give them a house and they're like, okay, well, Dad, look, I did this. I did this. Look, I got an A here. So now do I get the house?
I
And you're
know the
like,
lawn.
yeah, but it's the love. That you're missing the whole point. It's not about. And,
Yeah.
but yeah, you're right. Like we're never going to, I couldn't even imagine like, God, oh, look at what I did. All right. Do I get front row seat or what? Because I did this, I did that. Yeah. Look at these awesome works.
Look
Like
at all the
sick.
great stuff I
Right.
did.
It's
Oh my
even weird
gosh.
that it's
It's
called works,
disgusting.
because like when you're
Yeah.
doing it for Him, like when you're doing
Oh,
it from His motive,
can't even joke
it's
about
not
it.
even a work.
That's
So
right.
it's so strange to even call it a work. Like that's where like we receive our joy because we want to do it. So it's
It's
it's it's so it's not work.
it's its own reward.
Yeah, when it's in our own strength, it definitely is because we're trying to earn our way. That just means that we don't know that we are His and that He loves us. When people do that, it just shows that the
Cause I
deception that they
even
just don't
thought about
realize.
that. Like I even thought about that. Like, what if after life it was just poof? I would still be doing what I'm doing now. I don't want
Right,
to
because
live
you
in a
want to
way where
serve
I
Him.
don't
I
love
get what you're
God.
saying.
Right, right.
Like,
That's
well,
what I'm
that's it, but
made to
that's
do.
everything. Well, that's the American gospel, though. We do this, say, yeah, come into my heart, so we get to go to heaven, and that's not it. It's Jesus became our intercessor. We have direct contact with God, and we were made to serve Him, to be in His image. Like this is a fulfilling life. This is who we were made to be. You
Yeah.
know,
It's like like when you I feel like we are the bride of Christ, and He wants like it's all the veil of the temple was torn. We now worship in spirit and truth. Like now we have a way to the throne to boldly access the throne because of what He did for us. But when you think about that, like how the veil is lifted, like like a bride before she gets married, right? Like she has she has that veil, but then that veil gets lifted. And what happened when Jesus died? The veil of the temple was torn, rent in two, right? Torn. And so like the veil was lifted. So now like we can have access, can be with the Father, by way of the Holy Spirit to come in the throne room for prayer. and to
Right.
have that like a
It's not
relationship,
just a small
and
spot, you know?
yes,
Yeah.
not just to skip all that and just be like, okay, hold on, I got to hear about this, and what do I need to do to get to heaven? All right, cool. There's my ticket. I'm good to go. Let's go watch a good game of
Right,
football.
right, yeah. Forget everyone else, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I got my
Right.
hold on, guys. Got to get the ticket. Be right back. Or no, that is that's not
Uh,
what God's looking for. Like at
I
all,
wouldn't
He
be able to
wants
look
to.
at myself in the mirror, man, if that was like, if it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to heaven, you know? Good luck, guys. You know?
Well, I even heard people say, well, we have to put up with this life, and but one day it's for what we're gonna have, and even that kind of it breaks my heart because yeah, it's gonna be amazing to be in heaven, but it's not like you know this life is amazing when we have Him. Like right now, we have Him, so we don't have to just deal with it and then just be okay because one day we'll be with Him. Right now, we get to be with Him to talk to Him, and
Yeah. I'm guilty
it's
of
just like
taking advantage of that a little bit, you know, just I
yeah,
need to get more into the spirit of like, you know what, like there's things right now to enjoy and to be grateful for, you know.
Yes,
I
gratitude.
mean
That's
so
right.
many things, right?
right, yeah, that can be a
And
trap for sure.
sometimes we could look too far ahead and be like, you know, well, because
Mhm.
of all the hope ahead of us, we're, you know, not really appreciating where we are at this moment, right?
That's a
hmm
good point. And I think
Yeah,
the
he even
enemy
showed
like
me.
is sowing all those seeds and people trying like wanting people to be in despair,
Right,
restless or hopeless,
to
just
do
like
that
wanting
whole,
to
yeah, like,
escape
oh,
or
this
whatever.
this
When
is a
Jesus
rut.
said, "Be of good cheer. I have overcome the world." Like he was telling us, "Be of good cheer." Like okay,
Right,
like like
I
that
took
we can
care of it
have
all.
joy.
Be of good cheer.
Right.
I love
Yes.
that. I love
Yeah.
Things
that.
like because it's not even about like the daily activities and things and taking it for granted, but that also is part of it. Because I mean, I was speaking directly about like we get to actually be with him now. Like we can hear his voice now. We can, we have a relationship with him right now, and that's what really is. That's everything, and that's
And
what
not
really lets
everyone
us live
had
there.
that. I mean, like most of the
Right.
world never, I mean, most of the people that existed didn't have that.
No, exactly. And like we take it for granted, or some people just don't realize it. I didn't know that when people used to talk about, Jesus and stuff. I didn't realize like, oh wow, you actually
Terrifying to
get to
think
like have a
about.
relationship with them. Yeah, but then there's things like he showed me about even just like, being able to like lay with my children every night, fall asleep with them, like because there's nights where, you just like, okay, I just want to let's just I hope that, they brush their teeth and we can just lay down. And he just really just pulled me right out of that because this is not forever. This is like a short time. And even in heaven, like I'm not, it's going to be amazing, but it's not going to be this. This is a gift. It's a gift that I get to lay down and cuddle. And I don't know what heaven's going to be like, but I know
Yeah.
here what I can do. I can cuddle them. I can put my hands on their hair. I can, it's,
Yeah.
it's, it's amazing.
The
And I
moment
want
with
to,
them.
yeah, I want to enjoy every second of that.
And
So he pulled me out of that.
those are the years with kids that go by the fastest. And you're just
They
like,
really
wow,
do.
weren't you just a little boy like 2 minutes ago?
Yeah.
And you know, I still look at my kids. They're both bigger than me, you know. And I'm like, oh, my babies. They're still my babies, you know.
Oh no,
But
for sure.
it's just
I
like
know.
it's just those years go by fast, you know. And you're right, like appreciating each phase for what it is, right?
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Not
like
being in a
you
rush
just
for tomorrow, like literally always looking for today. That was a big one.
right.
It was a big thing that kind of all came together this last month. Man, just thinking about that, the way he moves, the way he works, just it's
Mm.
mind blowing. Just everything he's done, and he's done it just in time
And you didn't even have any.
to
It's
start. Like I'm
always
gonna have
that
to
way,
start
right? You had
homeschooling her.
no
Um,
idea in the moment. Oh, sorry. You had how you had
well,
like
my
no idea
battery
in the
went
moment.
dead. Yeah, my thing went dead. I was just saying like he did it in a perfect moment too, because I was starting to think, wow, I'm gonna have to start homeschooling like full time Sloan and Mila, and I was thinking, how am I gonna do this? And I just like all these, it's just how he works, like everything he did to just make everything happen, and just how everything's been, even just he's been keeping us busy. I'm gonna go do things to where I just see there is so much time in the day. We will get through this, and not only that, but we're gonna have fun doing it. We're gonna have joy, and they're going to get to just even little things like going on nature walks and stuff instead of, even just going to a park. Like parks are fun, but literally
Yes.
having fun in nature and flowers. And the girls,
Mm.
they have more fun there than they would just going to a park, and that's his creation, and I never even would have
Yeah.
thought like they would enjoy that. And we've been doing it like every day now for like over 2 weeks because,
Oh, I
and
love
he
that.
completely led that. He's just so amazing.
I
He guides
love
our every
that.
step. Yeah.
Yeah. just that gratitude and that appreciation for those moments and those
Right.
memories, because you realize it comes from Him. Every perfect gift comes from the Father who lights above.
Well, also
Right.
it's asking a question here. How do you know you have Him in that relationship? Or how do you know that you have Him?
It reminds me of when Jesus said, like, you know me, if you, here is how you know, if you know me, like if you keep my commandments, you know. And obviously we know that it's to love the Lord your God with all your heart,
Right.
mind and soul, and love your neighbor as yourself, you know. And I think those are absolutely
You start to act
huge.
like Him.
Right.
Right.
We can
Yeah,
hear him.
exactly.
That's why the enemy uses our mind as a battlefield. That's why we hear so many things, you know. There's like our own thoughts, ego, whatever. There's like there's demonic like thoughts were coming in, and then there's his voice, you know. So it's constantly running, because the more it's running, we can't hear him. And when we really do capture our thoughts and, you know, we give them to Jesus, then we start to hear him. And I mean, truly, like I talk to him all, I mean, he's there. Like he's truly with us every step, you
Every
know,
step.
like speaking with them. And I mean, and I mean, even at first, I did feel a little crazy, like because I would film and I would talk to him, and sometimes I would like giggle and I'd be like, but there are times I truly know I'm like, oh, that wasn't for me. You know, it's just he's with us. It, you know, it's
What's weird is that going forward in time, there was times where I felt like I was on my own, right? But in hindsight, I was never alone. He was always there.
oh my goodness, right? That's how
You
I'm
know,
not lonely. I mean,
Yeah.
like,
isn't
I'm
that
serious, and that's why
crazy?
that's how I can, yeah, that's how I have my girls. But I mean, they're also little, so it's not like a connection if people talk about that. But I have him, and like, so I mean, he like literally, I know he's with me, and like I said, I speak to him and I hear him, and he guides me, he leads me, you know. And
Yeah,
I just there's not any loneliness there, you know.
it's
Beautiful.
amazing.
Yeah, I'll
All
never leave
righty,
you or
guys.
forsake you.
Right.
Well, it's time to hit that old dusty trail.
Awesome.
Thank you so
Awesome.
much
No,
for
thanks.
coming on, guys. I'm so grateful for these shows. I look forward to them. I do.
Oh, no, thank you for
No,
having me.
I do
Thank you
too.
for having us. I am just as honored and grateful for it. You know, all the same, man. I really do
Yeah,
appreciate it. God bless you guys.
outstanding. And then see you tomorrow, of course.
Yes. Tomorrow in the manana.
Yeah.
Right. Good
Praise,
night, guys. Love you.
Yeah.
praise
Bye.
Love you
Jesus
guys
for
too.
his
Good night.
sacrifice and his grace. All glory to God because he deserves it. Please pray for the children, pray for each other, and pray for anyone being victimized. I will see you guys tomorrow. What do you say in the mañana at 6 a.m.?